CQ Poda. Hey, it's Tango Oscar Mike. Chores are done, although I still have to trim Augie's nails here. We'll do that out here in the driveway. I'll put down a blanket in a little while, but I'm just out on my property. I wanted to talk about something that's come up, and that is prepping and ham radio. And well, first, do I think prepping and ham radio go together? Absolutely. But like anything else that you prep for, you have to do it right. You wouldn't buy a firearm, leave it in a box on a shelf until that time comes when you need it. And ham radio is kind of the same way. Just buying a radio doesn't do you any good. And I'm probably going to use a lot of firearm analogies. I think it's something that preppers can relate to. But you wouldn't buy a firearm, leave it in a box, and never use it until a time came when you did need it. And ham radio is the same way. I've heard a lot of people say, well, I'm gonna buy some radios, but I'm not gonna bother to get my license. But to me, that's kind of the same thing. It's like buying a big trauma kit and not getting any medical training. You're really not going to know what to do. I've seen people carry trauma kits with chest seals and decompression needles and stuff like that, and have had zero medical training at all. Even simple stop the bleed kind of stuff. People carry quick clot and everything else, but they've never had any training on it. And I love YouTube for what it is, and I love instructional videos, and you can learn a lot. But actually practice stuff and do it in person is another thing. You can watch all the firearm videos you want on YouTube. That doesn't make you a good shot. You have to practice it. The same with ham radio. You have to practice it. With ham radio, there's 3 levels of license. The first level of license is a technician license. And to me, that's like buying your first 22. That gets you able to transmit mostly site to site, although you can use repeaters if they're linked and reach longer distances. But it's really site to site. I know some people talk about getting FRS radios and everything else, and I've tried the blister pack FRS radios, actually a nice set of Motorola ones. I tried those, and I'm only about 100, maybe 150 yards from my house, and I've tried them with my wife, and my wife can't talk to me when I'm out here, and I can't talk to her when she's in the house. Our house is brick, but I just found the quality of them really, really poor, and to me they just didn't work that well, and they weren't worth the money. GMRS allows you to use a little bit more power, and radios with external antennas, and those would probably work, but that does require a license too. So why not just get your ham radio license? That's my opinion. The next level is HF, your general license, and that gets you the long distance license. The long distance contacts, that's where your signal can skip off the atmosphere and reach long distances. If there is a disaster and everybody in your area is suffering from the same problem, where there's no communications, they can't get word to families in other states and that kind of stuff, HF is what's going to allow you to do that. Now, if you just have your general license, yeah, you might be able to contact somebody who has their HF license, and they may be able to relay a message to your loved ones, but to me, it's something that I think you should just be able to do. So if you're going to go for your license, go for the general. Take your technician and take the general at the same time. The tests are almost identical. I want to say that maybe 75% of the questions that are on the technician test are on the general test. The general just adds that HF portion of the questions into the thing. So if you can pass your technician, study a little more, study the general test, and take that one as well, and you may be able to pass both at the same time, and that's what I recommend. Where to go? In ham radio, there's the ARRL, so ARRL.org. It's like the NRA of ham radio, to be honest. And then YouTube, of course, Ham Radio Crash Course, Ham Radio 2.0, Dave Kessler. These are just a few sites that go through the entire technician class, and I think the general class too. They go through the entire book and go over the lessons. So if you search for those on those YouTube channels, and I'm sure you'll be able to find a lot more. Hamstudy.org is an online website that lets you actually take the test. It'll let you take practice tests, and you can actually schedule an online test. The ARRL, you can go there and search for actually in-person test. I know with COVID going on, everybody thinks there's no in-person test going on, but in my area there's 2 clubs that are holding monthly testing sessions on the same day every month. So there are ways to get your license right now, so don't worry about that. When it comes to radios, I know lots of preppers are buying the Baofeng UV5R, and that's like buying your first cheap firearm. That's the radio that you really don't care about. If somebody comes and says, hey, can I borrow a gun from you? That's the one you're going to give them. You're not going to give them your custom, 1911 or Glock 19. You're not going to do that. Radios are about the same price range as firearms. You can get a decent entry radio for about $500. For HF, I'm talking for those long distance contacts, or you can get a really good radio for around $1,000, and you can get a custom super duper radio, for anywhere from $1,500 and up to $4,000 or $5,000. And if anybody's ever shot long distance or got a custom rifle for shooting long distance, that's about the same price. So ham radio is the same way. Now, just like a firearm needs good ammunition, radios need a good antenna. But you don't have to spend a lot of money to have a good antenna. You can make an antenna out of Home Depot wire and some coax. And all the YouTubers have great videos on how to make antennas. There's little antenna kits you can buy real cheap. There are antennas you can buy for $100 or $200. But you can almost make that same antenna for maybe $20 or $30. It may not be as nice, but you can definitely do it. So again, if you're going to do it, if you're going to get into ham radio for the purpose of prepping, do it right. Don't let the radio sit on the shelf. You have to practice. You learn, just like when you buy a firearm, the more you shoot it, the more you learn, and ham radio is the same way. So that's my opinion on ham radio and prepping. I think they go hand in hand, and I think if you're a prepper, you definitely should get into ham radio. But again, do it right and practice what you're preaching, basically. Practice your prepping, practice your ham radio, practice your first aid, practice your firearm skills, practice your food storage, everything. You have to practice it. Just learning about it isn't enough. You have to practice it. Practice your bushcraft skills, your firearms, or not your firearms, your fire making, all that stuff. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please give me a subscription. This is Tango Oscar Mike 73. Take care.
Tango Oscar Mike.
I'm gonna get your leg. 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 Okay, let go. Stop. Stop. Let go. Let go. Stop. Good boy. Good boy. Ready? Ready?